If you are running a small business, you know the struggle. I mean, you know it intimately.
Oh,
You're
absolutely.
constantly moving from that day-to-day survival mode, trying to get to a place of actual sustained growth.
But the information out there is just a flood.
It's overwhelming. So many systems, so many gurus. It feels like you're trying to climb this mountain of information just to figure out which way is up.
That information paralysis is a huge problem. It just wastes so much valuable energy. You don't need another generic checklist.
No.
You need like an integrated roadmap.
And that is exactly our mission today. We are delivering that integrated map. We're diving deep into a really practical strategic framework, pulling out the most actionable insights from Donald Miller's guide on the 7 pillars of small business growth. So if you're the kind of learner who wants to get informed fast and walk away with a clear sequence of what to do next in your business, this is the deep dive for you.
And what's so great about this guide is that it treats these 7 areas, leadership, marketing, sales, all of them, not as separate tasks you just check off a list.
Right.
It treats them as a balanced, interconnected system. And Miller makes this really critical point. If you neglect even one of these pillars, it can act like a systemic weakness. It can derail the whole thing.
So it doesn't matter how great you are at sales
Okay.
if your operations are a mess.
Exactly. It's kind of an all-or-nothing approach if you want sustainable success.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start right at the foundation. Pillar number 1, strong leadership.
Yeah.
I've always seen leadership defined so broadly, but Miller says without clear direction here, the whole business just gets lost.
Yeah.
How does he really specify that role? How does a leader stop the business from going off track?
Well, the leader is the chief visionary, the chief communicator. It's so much more than just managing tasks. It's about defining and relentlessly communicating what success even looks like. So the first big action point is vision setting. The leader has to define a single, clear North Star metric, a measurable goal.
Like what, for example?
It could be something like achieving a specific customer lifetime value or maybe a defined market share, but it anchors the entire team. That clarity is what lets every single employee understand their specific role in getting there.
So it's not just, hey, we want to grow. It's more like, we need to increase customer retention by 15% this quarter, and here's why that matters to the big picture.
Precisely. And that requires structured, not accidental communication, which is the second point. It has to be regular, transparent, and, it has to go both ways.
A two-way street.
But maybe the most powerful action point in the guide is empowerment. Leaders have to give their teams the resources, the support, and crucially, the freedom they need to excel.
That freedom part is huge.
It is. It means delegating not just the task, but the authority to make decisions. That creates real ownership. If you don't empower people, the business just hits a ceiling.
The leader's own personal capacity.
Exactly. That's a massive bottleneck a lot of small businesses hit. The owner becomes the ultimate gatekeeper for everything, and you can't delegate trust, you have to earn it.
By leading by example.
That's it. Your actions set the standard. If a leader demands efficiency but is constantly chaotic, well, the team's going to reflect that chaos.
That makes perfect sense. So once that internal direction is set with strong leadership, the next step is the external direction, how you talk to the world.
Right.
Which brings us to pillar 2, marketing and the brand story. Miller's whole thing is that marketing is fundamentally about telling a good story.
That is the absolute heart of it. And the rules for a good brand story are strict. It has to be clear, short, and totally focused on the customer.
The customer is the hero.
The customer is the hero, not the company. The story has to explain 3 things very simply: what you offer, how it solves their problem, and why their life will be better after they use it.
So the key isn't how cool the company is, but how deeply you understand your audience's pain points. What kind of planning does that take?
It takes a relentless focus on market research. You have to be constantly mapping the customer journey. You need to know their problems, their desires, their motivations.
You have to know the villain in their story.
Yes. If you don't know the villain, you can't sell them the weapon to defeat it. That's a perfect way to put it.
So that brings us to platform strategy. I mean, online marketing today is non-negotiable, but what separates a good online strategy from just making noise?
Consistency and rigor. It means using social media and email strategically to, nurture leads, and then tracking your performance constantly.
Oh.
You have to know your conversion rates, your cost per acquisition.
Your CPA.
Your CPA, right. If your marketing dollars are bringing in customers at a higher cost than their lifetime value, you're on a very fast path to trouble.
And I guess to cut through all the noise out there, you need campaigns that are actually compelling.
For sure. You have to use varied formats like videos and blogs to deliver that story in different ways. Marketing is really just inviting the customer into a better life. If your story makes that invitation clear and memorable, you've won.
That successful invitation leads us right into pillar 3, mastering the sales process, the actual transaction. We talk about the sales funnel all the time, but Miller frames it as a roadmap, something that guides customers smoothly to a purchase.
And the key insight there, which comes straight from the marketing pillar, is that the sales approach has to be tailored to solve the customer's specific problems.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all pitch.
Not at all. Sales pitches should focus on the value you deliver, not just a laundry list of product features. If you can anchor your process in offering real solutions, you stop being a vendor and you become like a trusted partner.
That feels so much less transactional, more advisory.
Yeah.
But what about the team itself? How do you make sure they're executing on that strategy?
Team training, non-negotiable. And this isn't just a quarterly meeting, it's dedicated regular training on handling objections, on product knowledge, and so importantly, on mastering the CRM system.
Yeah, a bad CRM can kill a sales team.
An untrained team with an old script is just a massive bottleneck.
And what about closing? Getting the customer through that roadmap efficiently.
Yes, closing efficiency. Miller talks a lot about optimizing the end of that funnel. That means having strong, timely follow-up strategies.
So many deals are lost to poor follow-up.
Statistics show it's the #1 reason. So you follow up, maybe you offer a strategic incentive when it's appropriate, and you make sure deals close quickly before the prospect cools off. Sales is the engine that proves your marketing worked.
Okay, speaking of proving it, let's talk about what the customer's actually buying. Pillar 4, product development and quality. In a market that is so saturated, what makes a product or service really stand out?
This is where that internal feedback loop becomes essential. Standing out comes from continuous excellence. First, you have to use that same market research and feedback, the data your marketing team is collecting, to find the specific gaps in the market that your business can fill.
So innovation isn't always about some huge, risky invention. It's often about just improving what's already there.
Exactly. Innovation is often just intelligently improving existing products. Maybe you start with a minimum viable product, an MVP, and then you add features based on what users are telling you they want.
It's iterative.
It's iterative, yeah. But the absolute foundation of your long-term reputation is just unwavering quality.
Consistency and trust.
That's it. Consistently delivering high-quality builds unbreakable customer loyalty. Miller specifically says to use strict quality control measures, not just spot checks. Because when quality slips, customer trust just evaporates. And then marketing and sales have to work 10 times harder just to tread water.
Okay, so we've covered external engagement marketing and sales, and the product itself. Now let's shift to the internal engine. Pillar 5, overhead and operations efficiency. This is about making the business run smoothly, cost-effectively, reducing friction.
This is where businesses save themselves. It's all about process simplification. You have to hunt down and eliminate your operational bottlenecks. Getting rid of unnecessary steps, it doesn't just save time, it directly impacts your profit margins and employee morale, too.
So what are some practical ways to do that? Because I feel like a lot of processes exist just because, well, that's how we've always done it.
Technology is #1. You have to automate repetitive, low-value tasks. That means using modern ERP systems or project management software to boost efficiency and, really importantly, reduce human mistakes.
Rework is so expensive.
It's a killer. And that also brings up the team's focus.
You mean outsourcing?
Exactly. You should seriously consider delegating tasks that are not central to your core business, things like payroll or IT management. Let your team focus entirely on the activities that actually generate revenue.
The things in pillars 2, 3, and 4.
Right. And internally, you have to be relentless about cost tracking. Regularly review your expenses. Find ways to save money without lowering quality. This means scrutinizing vendor contracts, all your recurring overhead.
And what about the people side of operations?
Never overlook internal communication. Clear, consistent communication is the lubricant that keeps everything running smoothly. Poor internal communication is one of the fastest ways to destroy efficiency.
A smooth operation leads us right into pillar 6, vigilant cash flow management. Let's define this simply. Cash flow is just the money moving in and out of the business.
Yeah.
And we all know businesses that are profitable on paper but die because they run out of actual cash. Why is vigilance the key word here?
Because cash flow is the literal oxygen mask for your business. Profit is a theory, cash is survival. If you're not watching it constantly, you won't see a problem coming until it's way too late.
You'll be blindsided.
Totally. The guide advocates for vigilance. That means tracking metrics like days sales outstanding, your DSO, and your monthly burn rate. That way, you can spot problems weeks or months ahead of time.
So it's about being prepared, not just reacting. It's having a financial roadmap.
That's it. You have to create a financial plan that predicts your future income and expenses, and you have to factor in things like seasonality. This leads to building a safety net.
An emergency fund for the business?
Essentially, yes. Saving a percentage of profits as a safeguard is critical for handling unexpected costs or surviving a slow period without having to panic or take on high-interest debt.
And beyond saving, it's about managing the timing, right? The speed of money coming in versus money going out.
That is the crux of it. First, payment optimization. You need to speed up your customer payments, set clear terms, and have a professional but firm follow-up process for overdue invoices.
Every day you wait for a payment is an interest-free loan you're giving someone.
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you want to slow down money going out.
Negotiating with suppliers.
Correct. You need to negotiate. Work to get better payment terms with your suppliers, maybe move from net 30 to net 60. That keeps your cash in your hand longer. Mastering cash flow ensures your business is stable enough to actually handle growth.
Okay, we've covered 6 huge areas. Everything from leadership to financial liquidity. Pillar 7, strategic planning, feels like the final synthesis. I love how Miller frames it. It's not just a document. It's a meticulous flight plan that gives you direction and purpose.
Right. If you think about it, strategic planning just integrates all the other 6 pillars into one single executable guide. It starts with rigorous goal setting. The goals have to be clear, measurable. Like SMART goals.
For a 90-day sprint or a 5-year plan.
Exactly. It keeps the whole team focused and motivated.
So once you know the destination, you map out the route.
Precisely. You create a detailed plan. It's a step-by-step guide with defined timelines and actions needed to reach those goals. And that plan then forces you into clear task assignment.
So everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Everyone knows exactly how they are contributing to the big picture. It's vital for teamwork.
But business is so dynamic. How do you know if you're still on course during the flight?
This is where you bring back the metrics. You have to regularly check your progress using key performance indicators, or KPIs. You need a mix of leading indicators, things that predict future success, like qualified leads, and lagging indicators, which measure past results, like revenue.
These are your navigational tools.
They are. They keep you on course, and they tell you when you need to make adjustments. And that's the final piece, adaptability.
The plan has to be a living document.
Absolutely. It's not carved in stone. Long-term success demands flexibility. You have to be ready to adapt to market changes or competitor moves. Strategic planning is really just the formal process for being adaptable.
That's a powerful framework. We've just pulled out the most actionable knowledge from Miller's Guide, and it all comes back to integrated execution.
It does. It means you now have a comprehensive roadmap that shows how all these pieces fit together. We've covered internal strength with leadership and operations, external engagement with marketing and sales, the product's quality, the financial lifeline of cash flow, and the overall trajectory with strategic planning. It's this holistic view that creates predictable, sustainable growth.
This whole framework really is about balance. But here's a final thought for you to take back to your business. Since this guide says that success only happens when all 7 pillars are addressed, think about your own situation. What does it mean for your business's long-term health if you are amazing at external growth? I mean, your sales and marketing systems are just on fire, generating tons of demand.
Pillars 2 and 3.
Right, pillars 2 and 3. But you haven't developed that detailed step-by-step strategic plan yet.
Right.
Or you aren't committed to regularly checking your key performance indicators from pillar 7. The danger there is that you're generating demand you can't actually fulfill efficiently. And that leads to burnout and collapse. So think about it. Where does your balance truly lie?